Welcome to the first episode of the J-Card podcast. I'm so pumped to be bringing you all this show. Our goal here is to bring you stories from people who are in the world of music, from musicians to music-adjacent folks, maybe like engineers, photographers. We want to see what songs have influenced them and what music means to them. Our first guest is Graham W. Bell. Yes, you may have guessed it. He is the co-founder of this very tape club, which we'll talk about in a second. He is a multi-hyphenate. He's a photographer, he's a writer, he's a musician. He can do it all, and we are so pumped to have him as our first guest. If you want to support what we're doing here, you can go to tapeclub.substack.com. If you do have any questions or want to get in touch, there is an email. It is hi@tapeclub.biz, B-I-Z. Without any further ado, let's do it. Let's get into it. Here's our first episode with Graham W. Bell. On the very first episode of the J-Card podcast, the inaugural episode, I figured what better way to start it off than to have the co-founder of the tape club here. It's Graham W. Bell. He is the co-founder of this tape club. He's also the founder of the Rue Defense label, which is sort of like the parent of this tape club. He's the head of the photography collective focus group, and he is, most importantly, the lead guitarist of Committeemen, the band with the hardest name to spell in all of the greater Houston, Texas area with all the double letters. Graham, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here. Glad we are doing this.
Yeah, it's I figured, you know, it's a low stakes thing to have you as the pilot here, and no offense, but nowhere to go but up, right? So we'll get some great guests in the future, I hope. Let's start with the segment that we're going to do every show, I hope, unless it just totally bombs. It's What's Been Stuck in Your Head. That's a pretty clunky name for it, admittedly, but the question is there. What has been stuck in your head lately? Did you wake up with a song in your head? Did you just discover a new album? Did you just see an annoying commercial and now the jingle is stuck in your head? Please, Graham, tell the people what has been stuck in your head.
Well, officially, I have been listening to this Ducks Limited record a lot. The Deleted Scenes track is really good. I mean, all of them are really good. It's kind of just the whole record. I saw them at Treefort in March, and they were here in Houston, but they were playing the same day as Amyl and the Sniffers, so I wasn't able to make that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of catchy. I like a good jangle here and there, you know.
Gotta love a jangle.
Yeah.
You mentioned Treefort. I know. I'm sure throughout this episode we will get into Treefort. I know that's a big kind of tentpole event every year for what you do in the music industry. This Ducks Limited tune, I gotta say, so that album, Harm's Way, I have seen the album cover and seen it all over what everyone listens to. I don't think I've ever turned it on a single time, but supposedly it's very good. You know, I don't know, people are loving it.
I mean, I don't know. It's Alexei adjacent.
I think you are burying the lead in a little bit of a way, because not even burying the lead, you're just straight up fibbing. You're lying because you texted me and you said there was a different song that was stuck in your head, and now you're trying to like win some cool points by playing.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to be really cool, one. But yeah, I've definitely.
Let's tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Okay, so we went to, my birthday was on Friday, and we went to karaoke, and my buddy Matt, who's also in Committeemen, his go-to song at karaoke is a wonderful little number called Crazy Bitch by Buck Cherry.
Jesus.
And my God, if that doesn't get stuck in your head, and I don't want it to be stuck in my head, so I'm trying to will it out because it's been there for a couple days.
And that's the point of the stuck in your head segment. It's not giving flowers to the cool song that you like. It's literally what was stuck in your head.
Well, when I was thinking about this, the other one was stuck in my head until I heard this on Friday, and then it's been, supplanted. But,
I mean, I remember when that song first came out and they were playing it on the radio. I was like, Jesus, this is pretty, I don't know about this one.
It's a bit rough.
For me, it was a Thompson Twins song called Hold Me Now, which is like a 80s hit, smash hit. I was reading about Thompson Twins a little bit, and I just wanted a little quick piece of trivia before we really get into it. They started off as a 7-piece band, apparently.
What?
Yeah, and that was in the 70s, right? Mid 70s into the late 70s. And then in 1982, this is a crazy fact. 4 of the members were asked to leave. They were each given 500 British pounds, which is the equivalent of 2,400 US dollars today. They were also allowed to keep their instruments, and that was in exchange for agreeing to not perform together under the name Thompson Twins ever again. So that way, like, that trio, the new formed trio, could go and take that Thompson Twins name. And in 1982 is when, like, they released, like, their biggest hits in the US, at least. So I guess they trimmed the fat, you know what I mean?
Yeah. 7-piece, it's a hard
7 pieces. Yeah, it sounds too much to manage. But also, as a musician, you probably don't have that much to do, which is nice. You know?
Just play
you can just kind of
on your saxophone.
Yeah, you just kind of jump in when you're needed, and you don't have to, like, carry too much, you know? I mentioned this earlier, are the lead guitarist in Committeemen. You guys are not a 7-piece. It's kind of impressive, I would say, that you just jumped in and you immediately got a lead role. I've looked on LinkedIn. Usually they want, like, a lot of experience at a lot of different companies for something like that. Have you decided yet, or when, you're going to ask to be promoted to senior guitarist?
I don't think I will be. I'm a fill-in at this point. That's gone longer than the original position, but yeah, no.
So you're technically an interim still.
No, I think I'm official now.
Okay, they approved you.
Yeah. No, it was, it's funny because it's like, you know, there's lead and rhythm or whatever, but DJ, who's the other guitarist and founder, we go back and forth basically. So it's like he does more like solo-y solos, and I do more me solos.
The rhythm guitarist does the lead solos. Interesting.
I know, but we go back and forth. So I would say we share some duties. But
all right. I mean, I will say I read that on, like, from, I guess there was a Houston publication that did a write-up on Committeemen, and that's where I saw it in the opening paragraph. To be honest, the only paragraph of it I read, but it did say lead guitarist, and so I was like, I did not know Graham was up to such big things in Houston, being a lead.
DJ probably wrote that. We are both self-effacing gentlemen, so he's probably making sure that I'm the lead, and I'm making sure that he's the lead, and therefore we're both the rhythm.
2 self-effacing musicians is a formula for success. You know?
Yes, so much success.
Everyone will be writing about you guys. Everyone will be having you on. What's your mug say? I wish I were dead. Okay, fair. There you go.
It's from The Onion. So.
Okay, well, there you go. It checks out. It makes sense. Yeah. Graham, so tell me about Committeemen. How did you get involved? Because that is a Houston-based band, and I mean, you've been in Houston for a while now, but
like 4
you moved there.
Years. Yeah,
that's insane. You moved there from, because we've been friends for a long time, but it just feels like just yesterday you moved there from New York. So tell me a bit about how you got involved with Committeemen and how that was, like, relocating from a place like New York where, you know, there's probably 40 shows to pick from every night to go to versus maybe a smaller scene like Houston.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does not seem like 4 years. I've almost been here as long as I was in New York, which seems insane. But yeah, I'd started going to shows, like, I don't know, a year into being here, just kind of really trying to figure out the music scene, especially with, like, photography and that other stuff. But yeah, my friend Matt, who I knew from New York, and my partner is friends with his wife, and they moved down here as well. He was just kind of looking for something to do and answered a Craigslist ad, actually, for a bassist, and happened to be DJ and Ken, who were in Committeemen, and then another guitarist at that point, Rich. And he joined them, and I was like, oh, well, if you ever need a guitarist. And then Rich was actually moving for work, and so they're like, oh, we actually do need one. And so I just kind of tried out, I guess, and kind of learned all the parts. Rich is very much more like a technical like technically were way more advanced than I am. So I had to like learn his licks and stuff. And so, so I kind of just took the place after he left, and it wasn't like he was booted or anything. He just was trying to figure it out.
What's the audition process like for something like that? Because like, I have put out a bunch of music, but it's like, I don't know, if I had a rubric of my like musician breakdown, it would be like, does not play well with others. Like, cause I just don't like, I like to jam, I guess, but like when it comes to being in a room and like learning someone's parts, I'd be like, dude, I don't want to fucking learn your parts. I want to make up my own shit. Like, is it, tell me a bit about that audition process going in there.
I mean, this is like the second time that I've joined a band like this. The first time was in New York. I joined Kinships, and that was just kind of like they needed another guitarist. There wasn't actually it was a 3-piece, and we turned it into a 4-piece. And so that was kind of coming in and writing all new parts, which was interesting. And that kind of we just like noodled along on like some of the songs they'd already done, and you add some things in. And I like to just get kind of just like, scratch recordings of things, and then you take them home and think about it. I'm not great at like writing live, like in person. Like Matt and DJ and Ken, they're all really good at like, we sit and practice like, oh, this part, and I'm like, I have to like process this a little bit more. So we often just like, do phone recordings. I'll take it home and figure out a part, and that's how I've got a lot of Rich's parts. They'd already had a whole EP recorded before, so I was able to go back and actually listen to real recordings of it, which was great. But with this one, it wasn't, I was coming in and taking someone else's position, so I had to figure out all those parts. And really I just kind of showed up, and I was already good friends with Matt, and the rest of us kind of hit it off really well, and he'd been playing with them for a while, and so it was just kind of a good like personal atmosphere. And I think that's like 75% of being in the band is like, oh, you all get along as people. Like that's great. Like it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
I mean, well, especially like these days when music is sort of like, you're not making money from it. No one's like livelihood is riding on it. The main like value, the main factor to determine value is like, am I having a good time while I'm doing this thing? This
is kind of like, my like, 1960s like poker night. Instead of like going to play poker in the suburbs, I'm like going to play music in a practice space that smells like pee and cigarettes. It's about the same.
It's a hobby. I mean, it sucks to say that because like people take that, I think, sometimes as a negative if you call something a hobby. But that it's not meant to be that. It's just like literally. It's like me with the radio show I do for Brain Rot. Like, it's a hobby. I don't fucking make money doing that shit. That's the whole point, is that like you're having fun playing music. The difference between New York and Houston, I wanted to touch on that a little bit. So you've been there for 4 years in Houston. How long would you say it took you to get like involved in the music scene and to like, actually like find what local bands there were and what shows were going on? And is that something you like immediately wanted to seek out when you got there, or was it just, it kind of happened by getting into a band or something like that?
I was definitely figuring it out beforehand. And that was just, I think it was like maybe 2 years in or so, 1.5, something like that. And I had come back from Treefort, where I was photographing for the festival, and I was like, man, I want to do more of this because it's so fun just to like take photos of the bands and do that kind of stuff. And so before that, I'd actually reached out to some publications, and I was like, hey, I'd love to shoot for you. People wouldn't get back to me, or they're like, we're full, or we don't have any people, or like, so there's a lot of like weird, I mean, this is in every city. There's a lot of like weird gatekeeping within like these small communities. And not like on purpose, I don't think generally. It's not like malicious, but they're like, hey, we have all our friends. We don't want more people. And so I figured, it's like, there's got to be other people that are in my same shoes that want to do this thing, but just don't have an in because we're new to the scene or whatever. And so that's why I started Focus Group, which is really just about getting opportunities for photographers who aren't like a part of this collective or what have you. And we're like a publication, but it's more like kind of a community showcase. And so it's only photographs. There's no reviews or anything. It's just focusing on the photographer. So that said, when I got back from Treefort that year, whichever year that was, 2023, I had already kind of just been going to shows and just taking my camera, like all the little tiny shows. And I knew a couple people that were in bands, just through, honestly, it's like through virtue of like going to the same coffee shop all the time. You meet these people and they're like, oh, I'm in a band, my band's playing. I was like, oh, I'll come out. And they're like, oh, these are great photos or whatever. And so through that, I just started to just go to more. And then people who are, they're like, oh, we're opening for this band. And then you see that band, you're like, oh, I'm going to go see them the next time. And so it just kind of spreads out. And just, I mean, by virtue of just going to them all the time, which it's, like you said, there's a lot more shows happening in New York, I think, but there are it's a pretty vibrant music scene down here, which was surprising to me. It's really spread out, which is a little difficult sometimes. Like there's a couple venues that, take me like 40 minutes to get to, and they're still within the city limits and you're driving. So it's like, this is insane.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you kind of prioritize those, but yeah, it's been nice kind of figuring out, you see some of the other bands at other shows. And then once I joined Committeemen, like people come out, or they're, I'll reach out to people that I've taken photographs for and be like, hey, do you want to play with us, or can we play with you? And that kind of thing. And just kind of building that community too by a side, it's like this kind of side community. So yeah, it's been good. It's been, I don't know. Yeah. Different than New York.
For sure.
I mean, that's Southern hospitality. Like people do want to be friendly, but I think the geography of the place is sometimes like a big hurdle for people. Like, oh, I have to go all the way over there, or I don't know about that because it's like 15 miles away, and it takes me however long to get over there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I recently moved to Virginia, to Richmond, and I found sort of maybe a similar idea where like the music scene is incredibly vibrant. It is wild how much cool shit there is happening. I haven't really gone out to any of it, but what I have done is gotten involved with the local radio station and just like seeing all the different types of shows that they do, and like all the different styles of music that play at like their live events and stuff like that. It's wild. It's super, in a way, being in a smaller place sort of it makes it a little bit easier to wrap your mind around what's going on, because again, like in New York, it's I'm literally, no exaggeration, like 40 shows plus a night to pick from. And at a point it's what is it, analysis paralysis or whatever, where you have so many choices. Yeah, you're like, what the fuck, like I'm just gonna not go to any of these, like it's easier to not go. You brought up Treefort a couple times, so obviously you know what Treefort is, I know what Treefort is, but why don't you tell the listeners about what exactly Treefort is? And it seems like it was a big launching pad for focus groups, so why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Treefort is a yearly festival in Boise, not Boise, as the locals will say, Boise, Idaho.
The capital of Idaho, yeah.
The capital
famous
of Idaho.
For its blue turf on the field. If
Is
you're
that what that is?
Yeah, if you're a sports fan. I'm not talking about J.K. Rowling Smurf edition. I'm talking about the turf on the field.
The turf on the field. Now I've gotten thrown off by your Smurfs.
Hey, J.K. Rowling, that would make her a blue turf. You see what I'm saying? But Boise is the home of Treefort, and Treefort was the launching pad in a way for focus group. But it's more than that.
It's a festival. It's kind of like a South by Southwest model of like a citywide festival where, bars and different venues will open up and you buy a wristband and you can go to, a wide variety of shows. I think like this year was like over 500 bands of like all kinds of, genres and stuff. And they have other, quote unquote forts, like yoga and art and tech and like all these kind of things that are built around kind of sharing. It's a big community oriented thing too, which is one of the things that I really liked about about it. And I've been going for, I think I missed 2 of them and they're on year like 14 now or something like that. And so, yeah, it's more about kind of like coming together, lots of people with like-minded, and not necessarily all music fans. It is definitely focused on the music. And since they've moved the main stage to the big park downtown, I think it's more kind of traditional like festival vibes than it had been, which is, it's good. And it's, they don't have a bunch of corporate sponsors. It's more about like local sponsors and local businesses and that kind of stuff, which I think is really good and keeps it kind of humble, I guess. And also like for the fans and for the people coming through.
Sorry, I'll butt in. What I will say is like, it used to be just a city festival where you would buy a wristband, walk around downtown, go to different venues. Then when they introduced the park, now it's actually really nice because you can do it either way. If you want to be like involved in the city part of it, you can just stick around and walk around the streets and go to different venues and bars and do that thing. If you want to just chill in the park, there's like 3 stages, I think, right? And you can just hang out in the park. Or, I mean, you can do them both because they are so close together. I personally, I'm more of a city guy. I like to walk around all the venues and stuff. You played it, obviously, this year with Committeemen, but you also have photographed it a bunch in the past. And I guess, disclaimer, you kind of work for Treefort, volunteer, I guess, for Treefort and helping them with photography. But again, like I said, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's where focus groups sort of came from, was the collective of photographers there. Yeah. Can you speak a little bit on the relationship between photographers and artists, like musicians, I mean, in the ecosystem in general? Like, is it it's kind of a symbiotic relationship, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're right. We had kind of a change in the photo team a couple years ago when I joined like officially, and it was more like around a cohort of photographers and then a bunch of volunteer photographers that were kind of like teaching, and so that kind of got focus group going because I had a couple of volunteer photographers who were like, hey, we want to help you out with this, and so Jan and Karina, who are my editors, and so that's where that came from. However, to your point, the photo artist kind of connection it's interesting because a lot of artists want photos, and they appreciate, for the most part, the photographers. A lot of photographers want to do their thing and take photos and get like that shot of whatever band. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big band. Like look at this amazing shot that I got of this tiny band no one's ever heard of, but I love. And I think that's really the powerful thing. And I think a lot of like music journalism is centered around like, oh, we got the famous person. And I think that's not really a part of what focus group is about. It's more about like, you got a shot of something that really is important to you. And like, that's really like exciting. It's about the experience more. And so we're trying to like show like the experience of the artists and portray the artists as they are, rather than just being like, here's a document of them playing. It's like, this is what a show feels like. And I think that artists really appreciate that. They like looking at a photo and saying like, oh, that's how I feel when I'm playing, or like, that's how I want to be portrayed. It's not just kind of like a boring, document. And so, I think that's really good. There is artists sometimes are kind of like, I don't think they quite understand how much work goes into the photographing and like the editing and like the culling and the, all that stuff. And so, sometimes people are just like, hey, can you send me those photos? Where it's like, that was how many hours of work and you just want me to like send you them for free. And I always tell my like photographers, I'm like, if you want to do that, that's fine. But like, if they ask you to cover something, you need to get paid. Like once they ask, they pay. If you just go and take photos on your own and then they're like, and you send them to them, that's fine. Like, don't expect to be paid by that, but you can always say like, here's a couple if you want more. Like, it's a fine line, and a lot of artists don't have money, and also a lot of photographers don't have money either. So, it's tough. It is definitely a symbiotic relationship, because
it's interesting that you bring up the paid work thing, because like, it's tough to add, like, yeah, bands don't have money and neither do the photographers, so it's almost like these two, like, you know, dry riverbeds begging each other for water. And you're just like, I would if I could, but I gotta wait for the rain to come in or whatever. I think when it comes to the band paying the photographer, maybe it's so case by case, right? Like I agree 100% they should be paying all the time, especially if they're at a level where they can afford it. If it's like a small local band who's playing like their first ever show and it's like a small local photographer, maybe the payment is like, hey, you can get into the show and we'll get you drink tickets or whatever, or like we'll, you know, I don't know. I don't know how to solve it, but I think that's a case by case basis. But if you're a band who's big enough to fucking tour, dude, throw the photographers some fucking money, you know.
And honestly, not to like, I mean, I'm not being negative at all, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of the times the bigger bands are the ones who don't want to pay, and the little ones are the ones who want, because they know, they appreciate that. Like, there's a band here, Jump Rope, who are like local band, and they paid me the first time I took photos of them. They're like, hey, can we like pay you money? And I'm like, yeah, but then the next time I'm like, this one's on me. Like, you guys don't have to, you know. And so there's that kind of thing. It's like, I appreciate that you are trying to, like, you know, compensate me. And like, those are like, it's that I see you and you see me, that kind of thing.
It's a mutual respect thing.
Yeah. And it's also, but you know, there's some bands where you're like, oh, like, I will shoot this now, but next time you come through with a big, like, you're on a big tour with somebody, opening for somebody, you let me in, so I can get that other band too. And like, you know, it's just building up relationships, and you just have to keep positive, because it can get negative really quick, but there's no reason to. It's like, there's always going to be another person, another band, another show, and just if you don't want to do it, just don't do it.
Yeah, it's easy to, it's maybe it's not easy for everybody, but it's a skill that's worth learning, is saying no. Like, you can just, you don't have to shoot their show, you know. If a band asks you, you can just be like, can't do it, sorry. That's it. You don't have to explain anything, you know. If you don't want to do it, just say you can't do it. I think it's funny though that you bring up the thing about popular bands who like want to have people do shit for them for free. I think damn, I wish that I could tell this story a little better, but there was some like act recently, some old act. It was like a 70s or 80s kind of like, maybe like a hair metal or like glam rock type band. Maybe it was Gene Simmons actually from Kiss, who like recently had a thing where he was like, hey, special offer for just like the low price of a few $1,000, you can be my roadie for the tour or whatever, or some shit like that. And it was just like, are you kidding me, dude? Like,
just pay to play.
You're making people pay to come do this for you. And the thing is, they're at such a level of fame that like, and they have so many fans that there's people who are like, fuck yeah, this is crazy. I get to like be around my favorite artist, and it's only $2,000. It's like
lift amps. Great.
Yeah, talk about brainwashing. We're about at the end of this first segment, but real quick before we go to the break, I want to talk about Rue Defense, obviously the label, and just a little bit about the Tape Club. So tell me a little bit about the label, how it came to be, maybe some favorite releases, artist discovery methods, stuff like that.
Yeah, it came to be, I was trying to figure out, I mean, it's similar to Focus Group, you know, the idea that just release stuff and give opportunities for people that don't have an outlet. And so it really kind of started whole hog with a band called Dead Painters. So my buddy was like, hey, we have this record, I don't know what to do with it. And I was like, oh, I can release it. And so they're a band out of New York. They're defunct now, but so I did a couple records with them. And then just through friends, you know, release their kind of things. And yeah, I don't have the money to throw at it, but it's like all sweat equity, right? I have like writing, PR, like that kind of stuff. So just use your skills just to kind of like help your friends succeed. And I think that's really important. And as far as like, artist discovery, it's mostly just people I know or people I've been recommended by. And yeah, we've got like a couple releases coming out, like I mean, even like my band's on the label because why not? So there's like a Committeemen. We got a new single coming out soon. Simple Shapes out of Portland has a new single coming out June 27th, ahead of their first. They've done an EP with us, but they have a LP coming out, which is going to be killer. And then there's a new band called Parish out of Brooklyn, Katie Callahan, which you recommended.
Yes.
Which I knew her, but you recommended the project. And so that's coming up soon as well. I think end of June, July, we have to grab a date, but yeah, so there's
it's kind of like, it's basically friends and friends of friends.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I'd rather it be.
Yeah.
Just because, you're not going to put all this work into somebody that you don't know and maybe doesn't really appreciate what you're doing for them. I don't know. But it's also like, I only have so much reach. So I'm like,
yeah. And it's funny, the elephant in the room is like, labels are actually irrelevant these days. They really don't matter. Like if you are an artist who has built up an audience or whatever, even if you fucking haven't, even if you're just starting, it's pretty fucking cheap to go and make. I wrote about this as of this record, I wrote about this last week. By the time this is out, it'll be way in the archive. But I wrote about the idea of like, it's pretty easy to fucking make music. Like no offense to some people who, obviously practicing your craft, putting in the time, that's very difficult. However, if you want to make something and put it on Spotify, you can do it. You can start right now. By the time this podcast is over, you will have published your first song. Because like, you literally put together some loops, slap some fucking solos on it, whatever, pay the couple bucks for DistroKid. There you go. Upload the MP3 or the WAV, and it's online. So a lot of bands, especially like, there's been so many great releases this year that I've like gone on Spotify, scrolled down to see what label they're on. They're just on their own label. It's just independent. And it's kind of, it's interesting because, labels in a way are dead, but also if you're helping out friends who wouldn't naturally have the inclination to go do this stuff themselves, it's almost like you're doing this like weird magic, but in reality you're like, dude, I'm just like fucking uploading it to DistroKid.
Yeah. And I mean, our whole thing is like, I'll make them an EPK so they can like, have a little write-up and like a little website basically to, if they're trying to get shows or they're trying to, get press, and I'll try to get them some press. And like, I'm basically just kind of their in-house PR, and like it's like just like a cheerleader. You're like, yeah, this is rad. Like it's some validation for like an external source, I think. And I think that's really important, because if you're just sitting on your computer making music and then putting it up, you're like, I don't know if anybody listens to this, likes this, or cares.
Yeah, so it's like the labels, I think, used to function. One of their biggest functions was the distribution straight up. It was like, PR, go find someone else to handle it. Maybe if you're lucky, the label will do something. But just having that label attached was like a great thing for press, right? Mm-hmm. But now the distribution is kind of not that important. Having the name of a big label is still great, I guess. But to me, like at our level, at our small little tiny level, the best part is to like you said, kind of be a cheerleader, kind of be a bit of a manager in a way, and also help them land those PR things. Last thing I want to talk about before we head to the break, Tape Club. This is obviously the beginning of the J-Card podcast, and the Tape Club is coming.
It's coming.
I want general feelings, anything you're excited for, anything you're scared about.
I'm feeling good, especially since there's a U.S. plant to make tapes now, so we don't have to pay those tariffs. That's great. I think it's like Cincinnati or something, or Cleveland.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, feeling good. I think we have some submissions. I'm hoping by the time we press this, that we have more submissions. Definitely going to front load it with some Rue Defense artists, but that's the plus. It's our tape club after all. So I think, I'm stoked on it. Yeah, you're doing all the newsletter stuff, so I need to step it up.
Well, the reason I'm doing the newsletter stuff. So peek behind the curtain. The goal is to launch this hopefully right now as you're listening to it, July, whatever, first week of July. It's launched. But if you do go to the Substack, listener, viewer, whatever the fuck you are, if you do go back, you'll see that there's been stuff published starting in like February, and that's because we went to lock down the Substack, and then in my like rambunctious creative haze, I was like, let me start like a under construction series about what this is, because like why would we like stake out this URL and then not fucking write anything? And suddenly I got into a trap of having to write a thing every 2 weeks.
You do this to yourself.
I was just like, dude, I'm going to do it. And Graham's like, okay, go for it. And now here I am, like, today, we're recording on a Tuesday. And this is not a joke. Today I woke up at like, well, it doesn't matter when I woke up, but I woke up and the first thing I thought of, I was like, oh shit, it's Tuesday. Was I supposed to fucking send that thing yesterday? I didn't even write anything. And so immediately I just jumped out of bed. And then I came down here to my office and I was like, oh, wait a second. I published something last week, so I'm
wrong
good.
Tuesday.
Wrong Tuesday. Yeah, wrong Tuesday. So, Graham, thank you for joining. If people want to learn more, I guess they can Google focus group. I don't know. Look up focus group photo. Yeah, you tell them.
Focus group photo. Focusgroupphoto.com. That's that. Or whoisruedefense.com, which is a ridiculous URL, and we're working on a shorter one. But and
Committeemen.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can follow Committeemen TX on Instagram.
That's Committeemen with 2 M's, 2 T's, and 2 E's.
So many doubles. Yeah.
A lot of doubles. Okay, we're going to be right back. Take a little tiny quick break. And then we are going to jump into Graham's mixtape, which has a lot of cool stuff, including, I think, yes, a band who we have talked about. Oh, that's the tease. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back on the pilot episode, the inaugural episode of the J Card. And what we do in the second segment is we get to the mixtape. After all, it is a celebration of mixtape culture, compilation cassette culture. Today's guest, Graham, is made a playlist, I guess, a mixtape. Let's say a mixtape makes sense.
It's a mixtape.
It's a mixtape of 10 tunes. The way it works is the guest gets to feature any songs they like. They can be maybe a new single that they're releasing. So if Committeemen have a new single, it could be on there. Maybe. We'll see. It could be a song from the first band they ever saw live. It could be a song that appeared in a dream. Something from their favorite movie. It can be anything. The possibilities are endless. It's up to you how you want to theme it. Graham, you sent me a very nicely organized Spotify playlist, and in the image, you are getting mauled by a few deers, and you look very, very happy. You look like you're enjoying it. Like you may have paid for this experience on the dark web.
No, I paid for the cookies, but they were only like $2. So
I've always been taught that you're not supposed to touch deers because they might have some sort of diseases.
Well, this was in Nara in Japan, where like they're these deer that bow at you, and then you like they literally bow to you, and then you give them these cookies, and they're like really into them. You're supposed to feed them, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't just out here in the wild. I assumed this was taken somewhere in like Amarillo or something.
No. Yes. In Japan, strangely enough. Yes.
Okay, Graham, let's get into it. Let's start your mixtape. Tell the people, and I think track order is important personally. So tell the people what is going on with this opener, who is the band, what is the song, and why did you pick it?
So the opener is by a band called Lawn. It's called Restless and Tired, which is just how I feel all the time. And so it's become a little bit of an anthem in my mind. It's off of, oh my God.
Blood on the Tracks.
Blood on the Tracks. Yeah, I was going to say Johnny. That's their other one. It's off of Blood on the Tracks, which is a great album. All their albums are good. They are from the South, but
New Orleans, I believe.
Yeah, I think one of them lives in Chicago now, though. So
yes.
There's they haven't really played anything recently. I think, or they haven't toured recently. They played a couple shows here and there. And they did they have a new single that just came out.
Oh, wow.
Last week or something like that. But I just put on an older one because this is something I listen to all the time. It
looks like the new single is called Sports Gun. I have not heard it, but I'm going to try to play it on my radio show this week. That is great.
It's pretty great. Yeah, I'm glad to see there's things happening with them, because I feel like maybe you introduced them to me or something. I don't know.
I put out an album. I've put out a few albums on this label based in Minnesota, and they were also on that same. They were label mates of mine for a second there, but yeah, they're an incredible band, and one of the members, Rue Gabriel, he now lives in Chicago, and he puts out music as well, and his stuff is incredible. I'll say I wasn't familiar with all of the tunes on your mixtape. This one I did know very well, and I think it's a great opening pick, Restless and Tired.
I can see myself in taking border landing every angle, taking notes of every letter, wondering what makes me like when nobody's talking and nobody's talking and nobody's.
If you're listening, or if you're watching this, stick around, and you'll get, I think, we're still figuring it out, but I think you'll get to listen to all of the tracks at the end if you are a paid subscriber. If not, you're just going to hear little snippets here and there, probably.
Yeah.
Next track you picked is by a band that is kind of similar to Lon. I imagine that Lon was inspired by them, sort of. It's a song called What Color Is Blood by the artist Parquet Quartz off of their album Sunbathing Animal. Tell me a bit about what inspired this, and how maybe the first time you ever heard of Parquet Quartz.
It's probably you. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I know, it's ridiculous.
I'm flattered. I'm fucking flattered. I'm part of the first two songs.
I know, it's ridiculous. But yeah, this album, like when Spotify does their Wrapped, it was like, hey, what songs have your top songs? It was literally just songs on this album. Like, it looks like because I have it in my car, like on the Spotify thing. So it comes up as the first one. And so if I'm not thinking of something, I'll just hit play. And so I just play this song in my car, or this whole album in my car, over and over again. Which actually happened. I mean, yeah, it's amazing. And this happened with, in Days of Yesteryear, I think Dives, Deceiver, I did that whole album just for an entire year. These aren't on purpose. And I think Ovlov, Buds, I did the same thing. And it's just, I'll just have it on repeat because it's the first thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to listen to anything new right now. And so I'll just hit the same thing. Which I've been trying to branch out.
It's kind of interesting. It's kind of like a weird backhanded compliment. You're like, yeah, this song is so good, but also I'm so lazy that I just listen to this song over and over.
No, it's just so good that I want to I want to listen to something I like, and that just happens to be on the top of my list. And but yeah, that's car
culture for you. That's car culture. Like when you're in the car.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when back in the day, I used to have a Honda Accord, and it had a 6-disc changer, and there was one album, Destroyer's Rubies. Never left the changer. It was always there. And eventually, at some point, out of the 6 discs, 5 of them they just remain the same all the time, and there's one spot that gets flipped. So I get it. I understand where you're coming from. Sunbathing Animal was your kind of mainstay for whatever that year was.
I mean, I grew up with the 6-disc changer, so I felt
okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were fancy like that, man. Shit.
Oh, yeah.
Mine was just in a used car, so I didn't grow up with it. It
was my parents' car. It wasn't like my car. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
What color is blood? Still the same that it was. Is it still good for what it does? Bleeding is
Look, let's move on, because you picked 10 here. When we ask for 6,
you said 6 to 10.
I don't know. The next one you picked is a song. This one's brand new to me. Don't know anything about it, so I'm going to need you to tell me about it. The song is called Vanity, and the band is called Porcelain. So tell me first experience with this song, or when you heard it, what inspired you to put this one on. This is kind of a small band, right? They're not
they're
super well known.
They're out of, I mean, this whole list is kind of big and small. Some local. They're from Austin, and I actually saw them play here in Houston just randomly. I think it was with somebody that some band that I knew. And I was like, wow, this is like really good. And so they had just put out a record, and it was this record. So I actually, bought the merch, which this is a plug for buy bands merch when they're touring, because that's how they make money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the whole record's really good. I was trying to pick one that, I don't know, I listen to more than others, but yeah, I had this on repeat for a little while as well, and I'll come back to it here and there. But yeah, they've been touring a little bit, and so I feel like they're just getting bigger, which is great. They're all like super nice and very talented. So yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Porcelain. Look them up. The song is Vanity. The next tune is by this one's a band I know, a very well-known band called Protomartyr. And the song is called Dope Cloud off of their 2015 album, The Agent Intellect. Would I be wrong in saying this is their biggest song? I feel like it is one of their biggest songs. Maybe not. Maybe I'm off base. But Protomartyr, what you seem to kind of have a theme going for this mixtape.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of going towards more like post-punk, that kind of idea. And I mean, yeah, I was literally just making a playlist the other day of all like kind of music that shaped who I was. And it's like all over the place. And I was like, I just have to like, omit certain things, or else it's just like too insane. So I was trying to have a theme a little bit.
What did you omit, out of curiosity?
Mostly like metal and stuff. I was like, I'm not going to put like, Dope Smoker in the middle of like a happy, like right after like Always or something. Yeah. Always Soccer Mommy sleeps Dope Smoker. Like that's how it goes.
That vaguely makes sense. I think Soccer Mommy's a good connector to the two, to be honest with you. So Protomartyr though. Dope.
Yeah. I think I saw them. I've seen them a couple times, and my buddy Japeth, who was the lead for Dead Painters, who was on Rue Defense, he introduced me to them. And I think this album I've just been listening to more recently, and I don't know if this is I guess it's a big song. I don't really know externally what's the big songs, but this one is just kind of like, I feel like it kind of speaks to the current atmosphere, or cultural climate a little bit. Yeah. It's like, what are they lining their pockets with the gold or something? Anyway, whatever. So, but yeah, I mean they're just, yeah.
It's funny because they wrote it at a time when it was relevant, and it's still relevant.
And it's becoming more relevant as the days go on. Yes.
Interesting. I guess you can write stuff about how there's inequality in the world, and somehow it never goes out of style.
It just means they're a good band. Yeah.
Talking about going back to the car culture thing, this song, I believe at the time I had Sirius XM in my car, and I think I was introduced to Protomartyr through that. I think they were played on some on XMU or something like that.
That would make sense.
And now I'm back in the Sirius XM, thing, because I got a car.
Got rid of mine.
It's cool, I mean, that's why I'm not putting on the same thing every time. I'm just putting on the same station who plays the same thing every other day,
Yes. I mean, that's smarter.
Dope Cloud by Protomartyr.
The largesse of the Lombard Bank. That's not gonna save you, man. That's not gonna save you, man. The halls of gold are theirs. You're only
After that, you've got a song called Last Draw by a band called Grocery Bag. My favorite band name of the 10. It's Grocery. It's got to be Grocery Bag. I don't know anything about Grocery Bag, so why don't you tell me a bit about Grocery Bag?
well, besides the fact that I continuously call them Garbage Bag on accident, I do really like the band. I just, for some reason, it's stuck in my head. They're another Austin band. They're really,
Have you called them that to their face before on accident?
No, I hope they don't hear this.
What's that? Garbage Bag, right? He's like, I guess. Like, yeah,
I mean,
if you want to
yeah.
call us that.
Yeah. I mean, I even have a shirt with the name on it. I still can't figure it out. I'm dumb. Yeah, they're another Austin band. They came through and played in Houston. A couple of friends band, like I was saying before, like a couple of friends bands were playing at this place called Wonky Power. And so I went out to see them, and Grocery Bag was the headliner. And so I was like, wow, these guys are great. And
An all-time like goated kind of name bill, I guess. Grocery Bag playing at Wonky Power. It's just hell yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it is. I'll be there.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, they're really good. They're really good live. This is from their latest release.
Yeah, Static Mirage. It's like a 3-song EP, it looks like.
It's either EP
this
or
this past November.
Okay, yeah. Then when I saw them, their LP was out.
Oh, I see.
LP, the red one.
Yes.
And so I have a thing. It's like if the band's good enough for me to buy a shirt, I was like, I want to buy more than one shirt, and they're really good. They were just on tour with Psychedelic Porn Crumpets, which is the most ridiculous name also.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're kind of blowing up, and for good reason. They're a little more psych, post-punk, a little bit like OCs, that kind of stuff. You should definitely check them out.
I think the rule of buying the shirt is a great rule. Because like for me, I don't, like, bands will sell records and stuff. I don't really collect records anymore. And I don't want, like, I just don't want anything but a shirt. I'd love to buy a shirt. I'd love to support by buying a shirt. That's my thing. So if you're a band, just make some shirts. I'll get one. Or a hat. Yeah. Make a hat. I'll get a hat.
Oh, yeah, hat. There's a hat.
We got to make some Tape Club hats and shirts. That's the next step. It's down the line. Email us, hi@tapeclub.biz, if you want hats and shirts. We'll make them custom for you. Last Draw by Grocery Bag. After that, you have Old Rope by a little band called Committeemen.
Oh, hey, that's our band.
Old Rope is the newest single, I'm guessing.
It's the newest single
as of this record.
Yes, there should be another one out by the time this comes out, but which little teaser? That one's going to be called Chew, and so that's not out yet. But we did record them. We recorded a 4-song EP earlier this year, or like December into January. And then we've been releasing them. We had one come out right before Treefort called Therapy. This one came out in April. And then Chew will be coming out a little later in the summer, just because it kind of interacted with some other release things we're doing. So we want to make sure that it's, the best thing.
Committeemen, obviously from Houston, and then Grocery Bag, the past artist, from Austin. Is there a Houston-Austin, like, friendly rivalry or anything? Like, when these bands from Austin come and play in Houston, is it sort of like, kind of little jabs at each other, or is it just sort of like, we're bands in Texas, and that's what makes us friends?
I think it's more of that. I think it's like, hey, we're all, like, playing shows in places with no AC and sweating to death. And DJ, our singer, he has helped to kind of like facilitate some shows for a lot of Austin bands. Like we're playing a show in a couple days with like 2 Austin bands. And so we lined up like a 4-bill set, or a 4-band bill, and
4-bill set sounds like my paycheck for this show. 4 $1 bills.
$4. And so, yeah, it's, you know, I mean, it goes back to kind of the community thing and trying to figure out how to bridge that gap. Like, we're not very far from Austin in Texas terms, but like in normal place terms, like it's still like over 2 hours to drive to Austin from here. Which is the closest town, like big town. Like Dallas is like 4 hours. San Antonio is 700 days. And yeah, it's just like,
I mean, that's par for the course though. You know, like I think there's always towns within a quick drive, but it's very rare that you're going to get like major cities like that any closer than 2 hours. So it's not that different. It's just that I think we're, I don't want to speak for you, but I definitely over the last 10 years became a little NYC pilled where I was just like, oh, everything ever is right here. You know, the
East Coast
doesn't mean it's
closer.
it doesn't mean it's not. It could even be in the city though, you know. But it doesn't mean it's not a 2 hour commute. If I'm in Queens, Ridgewood, or something, and I want to go see something fucking, I don't know, like in Astoria, they're both in Queens, but it
could take a while.
Kind of a fucking long way to go.
Yeah.
So here it is, Old Rope by Committeemen. After that, you've got a new song, a popular. You have two in a row here that are very popular tunes. This one I've heard it everywhere in the last like month. It's a song by Momma, great band, and it's called "I Want You Fever." What made you want to put this Momma tune on there? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I actually like the yellow. Which one of the yellow? Two of Me, that album that's got the yellow on the cover. I like that album the most out of all their releases. But you picked a new tune.
I mean, I was going back and forth on new and old, but this mainly is because I just photographed a Momma show the other like couple weeks ago, and it was actually bizarre because it was supposed to be at White Oak Music Hall where there's a lot of shows, but actually Dave Matthews and Wells Fargo bought out the entire venue that night for like some kind of solo Dave Matthews art event. I have no idea, but good on Dave. He said to Momma, he was like, hey, if you move your show, I'll pay you more than your than your guarantee.
Than the deal, yeah.
Yeah, so they got like paid enough that the booker there, Peg Star Concerts, they moved it to a different venue that they also book at, and they made it a free show because
wow,
yeah, so it was free, which was great, and people were like very stoked because people were really wanted to come see them, and it was just a really good like atmosphere, even though there was like a thunderstorm going on, and it's like sort of an outside venue, but it had a tent over it. Yeah,
that's fucking awesome though.
Yeah, and they played this song, and it's just kind of, I mean, I'd listened to it before, but it was nice to see it live and see like the crowd react and that kind of stuff. And so that was why it was just kind of like this was a good time when I saw this. But
I mean,
yeah,
I love seeing like a band like Momma blow up. It doesn't all of my opinions about any of their this album's better than that, whatever. All my opinions aside, like it's so nice to see like guitar music making a comeback. It just kind of feels like guitar music is sort of back. I don't know. Maybe that's like presumptuous of me, but I do think like there is a great niche, I guess, for guitar music these days. Like I know metrics aren't everything, but they have over 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, whatever that means, and that's, if that doesn't say anything, I mean,
pretty good.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty decent. So shout out to Momma. Here is a little bit of I Want You Fever. Next tune you picked is a song that I've never heard, but when I played it, this one like hooked me right away. It's a really, really cool tune. It's called Cross the Street, and it's by a band called Junior Varsity, who I will say, like, I come into these playlists with with presumptions, obviously. Like, I see this name cross the street, the band's called Junior Varsity. I'm like, oh, this is probably just like some local band or whatever. And then I clicked on them, it's like, oh, this is not a local band at all. Like, this band has like, they're big. So tell me a bit about how you first heard this tune.
Honestly, didn't realize they were that big, but that it was so my friend Matt, who's the bassist in Committeemen, he knows I like that, like, I mean, we were talking about before, like Soccer Mommy and Always and stuff, kind of like the jangly twee pop once in a while, and he's like, here's some of that indie stuff for you. I mean, he likes it too, but so he actually just sent it to me, and I was like, well, like, this is definitely my jam. Listened to that on repeat for a long time. Yeah.
It's so cool to, again, see like a song like that be really, really popular. You know what I mean? Like, it just speaks to a jangle pop comeback. Who knows? Maybe the late 2020s will be the comeback of jangle pop. Who the hell knows?
I love a little jangle, you know.
Let's hear a little bit of Cross the Street by Junior Varsity. And I got to be honest, I hope that this episode doesn't get pulled down for me playing these little clips, but they're not longer than like 10, 15 seconds. Hopefully fair use, you know, we're talking about them. The next tune is called Dirty Crockpot. It's by a band called the Phlegms. If a Dirty Crockpot wasn't visceral enough imagery for you, the Phlegms. So tell me a bit about the Phlegms, Graham.
The Phlegms are a band out of they're Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Yes, yeah, that's right. I remember reading about that. I was surprised. And kind of a lot of bands don't claim, like, you know, smaller cities, and I think it's really cool when they do. So
yeah,
no shade to Fayetteville, but
no shade at all. And they're, I mean, this is a band that we played with. They came through, and when we play with touring acts, it's kind of like, oh, like, yeah, we're all, oh, good to meet you, whatever, blah, blah. This band, like, every single member and their touring manager, we like hit it off with. So like, we're like fast friends all of a sudden. I don't know, they're just like the nicest group of people we've ever played with. And they're super fun to watch and very talented. And so, yeah, I mean, that was it. And then I was like, this was the tune. I think they had like 2 out when we played with them, and this was one of them. And just, I don't know. It's just, they're a fun band. I feel like we were talking about, you know, like the smaller towns and stuff. Like when people come through Fayetteville, I feel like they play with them because it's such a small town. Like, yeah, they're playing with, by the time this comes out, they will have already played with Dice Spitz, who's out of Austin, who's really, you know, blowing up as well.
Let me tell you a little something. By the time this comes out, I just looked this up. I think the week that this comes out, they will be in Richmond. And they're going to be playing at this amazing place called Bandito's Burritos, which is fucking awesome. And it's walking distance from, I don't want to dox myself, but whatever. It's walking distance for me. Stephen Wright once said, anywhere is walking distance if you got the time. So maybe I'll go over there. Maybe after this, I'll have you hook me up with them. And I'll go in there and I'll say hello. Maybe I'll even have them on this fucking show.
You should. They're very nice and very well spoken. Yeah.
I mean, shout out to the Phlegms. Here is a little bit of Dirty Crockpot.
You're the big, yeah! I wanna boycott! You're the great, they said that dirty crockpot!
The closer of the mixtape that you picked is a song called Stupid. It's by a band called Trembler, and I need to get in touch with this band because I don't think I allowed them to name a song after me.
Hardy har har har.
Why did you pick Stupid, and why? Who are Trembler? Who is Trembler? You say who are a band or who is a band? Because like the Rolling Stones, right? Who are the Rolling Stones? Not who is the Rolling Stones. Yeah. Who are Momma? Who is Momma? You know what I mean? I
think you could say both. You know, when it's like Stones, you say are, but Trembler, you say
I would still
is
say
or are.
I would still say R because it's a band, I imagine.
Yeah, it is a band.
So who are Trembler?
Who are Trembler? So they're a Houston band, and they had an album come out a couple years ago. I don't know. I've seen them a couple times. They excellent like songwriting at the end of the play or the mixtape because it's a little more kind of like moody shoegazy, but not like shoegazy in a way that you like don't hear the vocals and stuff, which I think is really important. Like Luke is a super great songwriter, and this is a single that just came out. They just put out 2, and they hadn't had anything out or played for a while, and so I feel like this is kind of just ramping up new stuff coming from them, and I mean I'm excited about it because it's a good performance, and also like their last record was so good. So yeah,
I mean, are you trembling with excitement?
I don't really tremble except when I've had too much coffee. But
Oh, okay, I see. Are you photographing? Do you photograph them a lot? I imagine you'd probably do if they're local.
They haven't played for God almost maybe like a year or so. Well, I think I missed a show, but either way, yeah, I've shot them a couple times, and yeah, the big, pretty like decent crowds all those times. They may have played with Porcelain. That might have been why I saw Porcelain the first time.
Well, you never want to have Porcelain and a Trembler together, or you are going to have. That reminds me of my grandma.
Trembler and Porcelain.
No, that's a fucked up joke. First of all, my grandma was not a Trembler, and also I don't think we had any porcelain in the house. All right, well, here's a song. Here's a little bit of "Stupid" by Trembler. Graham, thank you for putting together the mixtape. It's a great first start. That's a great start to the show.
Start.
And first start. That's a good name for like a band.
Yes.
I'm gonna start a
Porcelains.
super group with me, Trembler, and Porcelain called First Start. No, but thank you. It's a really cool mixtape and a lot of songs that I haven't heard. I'm sure people like them. If you want to hear the full mixtape, go to tapeclub.substack.com, figure out how to subscribe. I think, what is it? It's like $5 a month, right? And you'll get the a compilation cassette tape, physical cassette tape mailed to you quarterly, but you'll also get access to hear like the full mixtape right after our show's done here right now.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back after this quick break, and we're going to have another final little closing segment. But Graham, I want to say thank you for all the Trembler.
You're welcome. Don't appeal to my vanity.
We are back. We got Graham W. Bell here. You just heard his awesome picks for his mixtape. And to close out the show, we like to do a little segment that's kind of inspired by those back of the book magazine pieces. You know, I don't know if you ever read magazines back in the day, Graham, but like...
I did. I'm old.
You know how like one of my favorite things to do is to take the magazine and flip right to the back page, because they usually saved like a page in the back for like a quick little thing that you could read. So it could be like what's the last thing you like ate? What's the last song you heard? Like, or a Mad Lib or something, like just weird shit, you know, quick little things. So we're trying to do the audio version of that. Today, the game that we're playing, the segment we're doing, it's called Dream Band. The name says it all. The name says it all. In this game, you are going to form your dream band. It's basically going to be a questionnaire, and by the end, we'll know about your idealized image of a band. Your answers can be as creative or as straightforward as you want. All I ask is that you walk us through your thought process. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds good.
Okay, so let's kick it off. This is, of course, your dream band. So to start with, what is your role in this band?
Oof. That's tough. I think I'd rather watch this band if it's my dream band. I think I'd be too nervous to play with anybody that's like, really
Interesting.
good. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe
I'll photograph the band. Yeah.
Yeah, that would kind of make sense. Okay, so you're an attendee, you're photographing the band. This is cool. I'm a rhythm section stan. So I'm going to start with this question. Who is on drums in this band? Or do you even have drums?
I think I'd have to have drums. I'm constantly looking for people that play drums to like they're in short supply, especially in Houston. And I mean, I don't know. I'm bad at names. That's for sure. I think probably oh my God, what's his name? The drummer from Deerhoof is very good.
Okay. Okay, I think I know who you're talking about because I think one year at Treefort he wore really, really tiny shorts, right?
Oh, they were very small. Yeah, I was
the
right
drummer
there
of Deerhoof.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think we'll go with that. That's just because it's like more. There's a lot. It's looser. Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems like he could do whatever he wanted. Like a lot of.
Yeah, you're
stuff,
looking for a talented drummer who can kind of go with the flow and kind of get all different styles. Who is on bass alongside this drummer?
That's a tough one. I mean, the obvious would be like, well, I don't know what kind of band we're going here. You know, if it's going to be
It's your dream band, dude. It's your dream band.
I think the bass player from Automatic is really good. Very kind of like a little bit of like krautrock.
Okay.
I just remember her being like holding it down really well. But also Thundercat or something would be cool. But I mean, Thundercat with Deerhoof, that would be insane. But I think I'm gonna go with the one from Automatic.
Okay,
just
so the bass,
off the top of my head.
Okay,
Yeah.
the bass player from Automatic. So then I'd like to ask who's on guitar. Obviously, the next question. You could have seen it coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
Who's on guitar?
Gosh. Yeah, that's tough because there's so many different like guitar styles and things that I look for. Who do I really love?
I can't believe you didn't put yourself on guitar, to be honest. But you're an attendee, so it's
Everyone else is too good.
you stepped back.
I mean, like one of my favorite is Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, but like that's just for like the bizarreness that he brings to everything.
I mean, it's shaping up to be a pretty cool band.
Yeah, we could just go with him. I mean, he's
all right, and
I feel like people know him, but are kind of like he's not underrated. But yeah,
no,
I don't know.
No,
I would definitely say that, man.
He's
as
very
far as
well rated.
Go, yeah.
All right, so who is singing? Was the next question?
That is tough.
You don't have to have anyone singing. If you want to be an instrumental band, you can do that too.
I think we need a singer of some sort. I was trying to think of who I've been listening to. I mean, I like a good like singer, but also like, I mean, I really like Dan Behar. There's a name.
Oh
I know.
yeah,
So
a little talk singing.
Yeah, I like a talk sing. But also like the guy from Ovlov. Maybe the singer from Ovlov. That would be weird.
Okay, it's getting good. I personally was hoping you would say Michael McDonald, but it didn't happen. Next question: are there any other instruments you would throw in there? Keys, horns, theremins, or anything like that? Any other instruments? You can also say no. You don't have to throw these in.
I think there would have to be maybe some keys of some sort, like textural. But I couldn't. I'm trying to think of like who would be playing the keys. I don't know. That's
a tough one. I mean, figuring out who's going to be on the keys is especially if they're textural elements is really you should have had Johnny Greenwood do something like that.
I know. I should.
He's your guitarist. He's locked in.
Screwed up. I know.
So I'll jump in. I'll fucking do it.
Come on, get on up there and play the keys.
All right, I'm in. Okay, last couple questions. I need to know your manager.
My manager.
If you got one, yeah.
Ooh. Manager.
This is great because it can be anybody. It doesn't have to be a real manager. It can be anyone you trust with your life.
I trust.
To not spend all the money you made from the merch that night.
Oh man. Let's see. I mean, the manager from the Phlegms was very cool and seemed to like get shows. We're just gonna throw her into that.
All right.
That's
all
the
right.
first
the
manager.
Who are your openers and where are you playing? Also, you don't have to have openers. If you don't want to have them, you just want to play like a 3-hour set on your own, you can do that.
I don't know. There's probably got to be some openers. what those are. Well, let's see. We could do like 40 Feet Tall. They're from
40 Feet Tall.
Portland. They're great.
Okay. And you're doing that to kind of put them on because they're like, are they a smaller band? Do you want to try?
They're bigger as far as like Portland bands go.
Okay, I see.
I mean, they played 2-3 times. They've played like Treefort the last couple of years.
Okay.
They actually did play at Wonky Power down here in Houston one time.
Next time I go to Houston, I got to go to Wonky Power. 40 Feet Tall, any other openers or just them?
I'm trying to think of like a single person or like 2-piece.
Simon and Garfunkel.
No.
It's the first two piece I thought of.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's a tough one because you don't want to stay in the spirit of the show. You don't want to go too crazy, or do you? You might want to kind of throw it off.
It seems like a crazy show.
Yeah.
I think. We're doing a 2-band bill. No,
2-band bill. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because this is like a one night only event. This is the Dream Band. Are you playing? I can assume the answer to this. Where are you playing?
Oh, should we play at Wonky Power?
I kind of thought that's where this was going. That
would be honestly insane.
Playing at Wonky Power. And finally, last question: what are your after show plans?
Well, I'm gonna definitely get a couple portraits, and then depending on if it's 1,000 degrees outside, we'd have to go down the street to Nympha's and get some margaritas, I think. But
all right, I mean that sounds amazing. So to recap, you have a dream band. We don't know their name. Maybe that's something in the next segment I'll have to figure out.
Yeah,
but you have a dream band. That is composed of the drummer from Deerhoof, the bassist from Automatic, Johnny Greenwood on guitar, and the singer from Ovlov. There's also someone playing keys and textural synths. I think I elbowed my way into that. You're managed by the Phlegms manager. 40 Feet Tall are opening for you at Wonky Power. And after the show, couple portraits, and you're going down to Nifa's for some margaritas. It sounds amazing. You're an attendee. You're a photographer. You are Graham W. Bell. Graham, please plug away. Where can the people find you and all your projects?
Yeah. Well, you can do focusgroupphoto.com / also on the Instagram at focusgroupphoto. And then I'm just Graham W. Bell on Instagram. And Rue Defense is Rue Defense on Instagram. And that's where you can keep up with the label and also the Tape Club. And then tapeclub.biz. And whoisruedefense.com. You can check out the new releases coming out, and we've got at least 3 or 4 different artists that are coming out this year. So keep a watch.
Hell yeah! And then of course, Committeemen. Look them up on Spotify. There are going to be new singles. I think by the time this episode comes out, the singles will be out. So go listen to them. Graham, thank you so much for stopping by. If you are listening to this and you somehow don't know what the Tape Club is, I imagine if you got to this point in the show, you probably know it, but I'll give you the breakdown one more time. You can go to tapeclub.substack.com where you can sign up for free. You can, you'll get the newsletters. There's not going to be anything really different. You'll get this podcast, not really anything different. But if you pay the $5 a month, you can get this podcast with the added mixtape coming up right after this. And you'll also get a cassette every quarter, a compilation cassette full of great kind of underground DIY artists. It's a great way to show support for smaller artists. And it's a great way to build out your cassette collection. Graham, thank you so much for doing this, the inaugural episode. Hopefully this thing just keeps on going, and then we look back at this and we go, wow, the energy was real low for a pilot, but we'll see. Thank you so much. And thank you, listener and viewer, for listening and viewing. See you next time on the J Card.
Peace.
The J Card podcast is a fully independent production. It is made possible by listeners and viewers just like you. So if you want to support us, tapeclub.substack.com is the place to go.